You know when you see a stroke in the movies, right? There's the dramatic collapse, the frantic call for an ambulance, the chaos. But what if I told you that for a huge number of people, especially over 60, a stroke doesn't look like a big explosion at all? In fact, it often looks like, well, like nothing. It's called a silent stroke. And it can happen while you're just going about your day, sleeping, gardening, whatever. You don't feel any pain, you don't fall over, but deep inside your brain, tiny, incredibly important connections are being lost.
Okay, so let's break this down. A big, major stroke, that's like a citywide blackout. It's dramatic, it's obvious, and you just can't ignore it. A silent stroke, though, that's more like a series of tiny little brownouts in different neighborhoods. And here's the really scary part. They add up over time, and most people have no idea they're even happening until the damage really starts to show.
So what's actually going on here? Well, a silent stroke happens when a teeny tiny blood clot gets stuck in one of the smallest blood vessels deep in your brain. The area of damage is so small that your brain, which is just incredible, it kind of just works around it. It literally rewires the connection to bypass the damage. That's why you might just feel a little off for a day and then completely forget about it. But make no mistake, that little bit of damage is still there.
But your body is smart. It does try to give you clues. So today, we're going to tune in and learn how to listen. We're going to go through the 5 almost invisible signs that your brain might be in trouble. These are the subtle things you really need to start paying attention to.
First up is something I call the clumsy hand. Now, this isn't about just fumbling around a bit as you get older. No, this is a very specific, very sudden thing. One minute, you're totally fine, and the next you just can't get one of your hands to do what you want it to do.
The key word here is sudden. All of a sudden, you can't button your own shirt, or you drop your mug, not because it was slipping, but because your hand just opened. It just let go. This isn't that slow creep of arthritis. This is a sudden shutdown of fine motor skills on one side of your body, and it's a classic sign of a tiny blockage in the motor cortex. That's the part of your brain that's in charge of movement.
All right, sign number 2. We've all had that tip of the tongue moment, but I need to be really clear here. This is not the same thing. We all forget names sometimes. That's normal. This is a totally different kind of language glitch.
So imagine you are looking directly at a spoon. You know what it is, you know what it's for, you want to ask for it, but the word spoon is just gone. You literally cannot say it. You might say a wrong word like fork or just kind of stare blankly for a second. This little glitch usually clears up in a minute or two, but it's a huge warning sign. It was very likely a TIA, or a transient ischemic attack, basically a temporary blockage in your brain's language center.
Let's talk about sign number 3. This one's all about your balance. But again, it's a very particular feeling. You stand up, and the room isn't spinning. That's vertigo, and that's something else. No, this feels like you're suddenly standing on the deck of a boat that's rocking in the waves.
That feeling of being unsteady on your feet, where you might have to reach out for a wall or a chair to steady yourself, that's a massive red flag if there's no other reason for it, like an ear infection. It's often linked directly to the cerebellum. That's the part at the back of your brain that handles balance and coordination, and it's super sensitive to any changes in blood flow.
Okay, this next one is maybe the most specific and honestly one of the most urgent warnings your body can ever give you. It's a very distinct vision problem that only happens in one eye.
The medical name for it is amaurosis fugax, and people who've had it describe it in the exact same way. It feels like a gray curtain or a window shade was slowly pulled down over one eye. It lasts for maybe 30 seconds, and then it goes away. What's happening is a temporary loss of blood flow to your retina. This is one of the biggest warning shots your body can possibly fire. Please, if this ever happens, do not ignore it.
And finally, sign number 5. This one is all about your emotions. And we're not talking about just having a bad day. We're talking about a sudden, really dramatic shift in your personality or your mood that seems to come from absolutely nowhere.
So if you, or maybe your partner, suddenly go from being pretty cheerful to crying over a simple TV commercial, or you suddenly feel this intense apathy, this emotional flatness that just hangs around for days, it might not be a psychological thing. It could actually be a sign of vascular damage in the frontal lobe, the part of your brain that basically runs your personality and regulates emotions.
Now, I know hearing all of that can be a little scary, but I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this because there's amazing news. Silent strokes are overwhelmingly preventable. There is one single root cause that is behind almost all of them.
And that single cause is responsible for this number right here, 90%. That's a staggering number when you really stop and think about it.
That's right. 90% of silent strokes are caused by one single thing, high blood pressure. And you know what? That is fantastic news, because it means this isn't some random lottery. It's something we can actually do something about. We can manage it.
So, how does high blood pressure cause all this trouble? Well, think of your blood vessels like a simple garden hose. If you crank the water pressure up to full blast and just leave it like that 24/7, what's going to happen? Over time, that constant pressure creates tiny little tears and weak spots inside the hose. It's the exact same thing with your blood vessels. This damage creates these rough, scarred patches that are like perfect little traps for plaque and clots to get stuck in, and that leads directly to those blockages.
So the big question is, how do we turn down the pressure in that garden house? Well, we can start with the very first thing we do every day, eat breakfast. It's time to introduce you to the Pressure Down Breakfast Protocol.
We've got 3 amazing options here. First, the artery scrubber. This is just rolled oats with blueberries. The oats have a special kind of fiber that literally helps scrub bad cholesterol out, while the blueberries help your blood vessels relax. Next up, the salty antidote, spinach and eggs. Spinach is loaded with potassium, which is crucial for helping your body get rid of excess sodium. And third, the creamy protector, Greek yogurt with some flax seeds. This combo helps fight inflammation and gives your vessels key minerals to stay healthy.
So the whole idea here is simple, right? We just need to swap out the foods that make our arteries stiff and unhappy, like toast with sugary jam or those boxes of kids' cereal, for these powerful healing alternatives. It's a simple switch, but it can make a massive difference in turning down that internal pressure.
I really want you to let this sink in. Your body, and your brain especially, are incredibly resilient. Even if you think you might have had a little silent event in the past, your brain's ability to heal and rewire itself, it's a real thing called neuroplasticity, is absolutely amazing. But you have to give it the right tools. You have to give it the right fuel to do its job.
And this is really the main takeaway from all of this. Protecting your brain isn't about some complicated, scary medical procedure. It's about simple choices you make every single day. The power to lower your risk, to protect your brain, and even to help it heal, it truly starts with what you put on your fork every morning.
So I've got a little challenge for you. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, just think about trying one of these breakfasts. That's it. The very first step to protecting your amazing brain can be that easy. The only decision you have to make is, are you in the mood for sweet or savory?